Hey everyone, it's Maria, and I'm going to do the first of my beginner's guide to zero waste or less waste because I'm not a zero waster yet. I'm trying to work on cutting back my plastic consumption and just overall trash. And it's a journey. Anybody who has been trying to do this will tell you that there's not like a clean, cold turkey. You would be exhausted if you tried to do this cold turkey. So that is my first tip for you. If you are trying to think about your trash consumption and getting better about that issue in your life, please do not try and think you're going to do it overnight. I don't know. You probably have a mental break, honestly. So that's my first bit of advice to you. This is something that I have been trying to work on for probably over a decade, and it's just getting to the point where I feel like I can challenge myself a little bit more on some of the harder things. So I am not an expert by any means. I struggle with this every day. I definitely still use plastic trash bags in the kitchen that I still feel not sure about. We still throw things away. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying. And I think that is the main thing I want you to take away from this is if this is something that is even remotely interested to you, whether it's something that you want to do because you want to save on money, or maybe it's something that you've seen a documentary on landfills or plastic bags in the ocean or whatever it is, just hear my words and do your best with it. My journey is going to look very different from somebody else's, and that's great. Nobody's meant to do life the same way. So that said, that's my big disclaimer. All right. The first thing I'm going to say to you is to start with one change, maybe two tops. For me, years and years ago, I started with bringing my own bags to the grocery store. And it was something I remember, like my sister went with me one time, just like, what are you doing? They have plastic bags here. I'm like, I know, and that's always the hard part is trying to explain yourself without feeling like you're all judgy. I just thought this is something I'm trying to do because I feel like the environment doesn't need more of them. So I started with that. And then after several years of that, I was like, why do I still have produce bags that I'm getting? That doesn't seem to make sense. So then I made sure I got produce bags and I made some. I mean, just one of those little things. T-shirts. There are t-shirts that I was very sentimental about, and instead of throwing them out or keeping them here and taking up space, I made a quilt with them, and it's one of my favorite quilts. I've done a couple of them now, but so just little things here and there is just try and move your little pendulum to the other side. First thing, start with small, one or two changes. Second thing, set yourself up for success. Do not think that this is going to be an easy switch. It's not a thing. My husband still will forget that we have tons of grocery bags, and we'll bring plastic bags home from the grocery store, and it drives me crazy, and I'm trying not to be militant about it. I'm like, how long have we been doing this, honey? But anyway, he's trying. So I've been trying to just put bags in his car so he sees them, like in the front seat, not in the back seat. So if there's something that is a habit you are trying to change, make it really easy for you to make that change. If you are a Starbucks person and you're always going out for coffee, maybe your first change is to keep your mug with you, like your whatever cup that you would use for whichever drink you always get. Starbucks will do a discount for you if you bring in your own cup, and they won't second guess you about it. The last time, I'm not a huge Starbucks person, but it was one of those things that I had felt guilty enough that I'm like, you know what, this is silly. Why don't I just keep my cup in the car in case I decide I need it on not that you need it, but And I went in, gave him my cup right away. They used it right away, didn't ask any questions, and I got it back and I got to use my cup. Same thing, I just ordered straws because it seems silly to get straws if you're also bringing your cup. And straws take up very little space in a bag. So these are just things. Decide what might make the biggest impact for you and try and do that. So then you feel like you're making a difference. You get a little bit more momentum going. But set yourself up for success. Don't say, hey, I'm going to cut back on my plastic cups and then not have plastic cups available whenever you're out. Keep them in the car, wash them out as soon as you're done with them, put them right back, those kinds of things. Get yourself a really great water bottle if bottled water is your thing. Find a bag that you really enjoy. I actually, and I'll do this in a future video, but I've made several of my shopping bags. There's no reason for you to spend a lot of money setting yourself up. You can also just even ask around, put out on Facebook, hey, I'm trying to cut back on this. Does anybody have any travel mugs that they're not using? Or like water bottles that they're not using? You'll be surprised by how much stuff people are like, oh yeah, I've got something, and it's free. All right, that brings me to my next point, number 3. Don't spend extra money when you're starting out. I think it's very easy for us and our consumer mentality to just be like, okay, I've decided to make this my goal. I need to, for example, if you want to get organized, you're like, I'm going to get everything in my house organized. And so you go to the Container Store, which has really cute stuff. I've been in there one time because I know it's just a dangerous place. And you get all the things that match because they're beautiful. And then you go home and you start organizing all of your things and you realize that you already had like 10 organizers. There's no reason that you should have bought like $200 worth of new organizers. For a long time, I used diaper boxes. We did a lot of cloth diapering, but we did have some diapers for when we were out traveling. And that's one guilt thing you just have to kind of let go of if that's a thing sometimes. But we had all these diaper boxes that I would save because I was like, well, you know, you can just use them for storage. I think I put some cute duct tape around them and that worked out great. And then whenever you're passing down your hand-me-downs, you just stick the clothes back in there and hand them off to somebody else. So there are lots of opportunities to not spend money. If bulk shopping, which is something that I'm getting more adventurous about, is something that's interesting to you, try and just use like old jars that you get, either jelly jars. There's some cute ones with the little gingham tops. We get a huge pickle jar from Costco because we love pickles. And so I've used those for some of like my bigger containers of dried beans or things like that, or rice. There is no reason. And then you have all these cute glass jars on your shelf that you've already paid for, but then aren't going back out to get recycled, and so that energy isn't being used, and everything, like glass looks nice all together. So that's another thing. If you want it all to match, paint the top of the lids and put cute little washi tape labels on it. Like, there is no reason you need to spend tons of money to be a zero waste person, because then honestly, when you're getting rid of all the stuff that you already had, you're adding that trash back out there, or like, it's just a vicious cycle. So look at what you have already and use that slowly. I'm getting ready to make our own laundry detergent, and so I'm just saving the container that we already have so I can just put things in there. Ketchup, we started making our own ketchup. It's actually pretty good, and I just saved the old container of the ketchup bottle and used that. Same thing with like the glass. I try and get glass containers whenever I'm buying something because I can reuse those for things. There's so many, and it's just kind of a challenge for your creativity when you think of it as a challenge and not an obstacle. Do not let money stop you from trying to cut back. That doesn't even make sense if you think about it. All right, next tip. Number 4, keep your motivation readily available. Maybe if plastic is something that you're nervous about, like, keep a picture with you that reminds you of why it matters. For me, my kids are always with me, and that's my main motivation, because I don't want to leave what I think is our responsibility back behind for our kids. So whenever we're at the store and I have to tell my kids, I'd rather not get that because it has a lot of extra packaging. And they say, why? I really want the cookies. I say, because I don't want you to have to deal with that trash in the future. It's not really their favorite answer, but something they're getting used to hearing more. All right, and the next tip is just when you feel like you have one habit or practice down, add in something else. And slowly we move that pendulum to a much better place on our planet. So those are the kinds of things you can do challenges for yourself. Make it like a game. One of my favorite books that I read last year, I think it was last year, was Jane McGonigal's Super Better. And she talks about how one of the best ways to meet goals is to pretend like it's a game. Create allies that are kind of your people that you go to that might give you extra challenges or encouragement or tips. And the more you think of life as a fun challenge game, the more fun it is to do things that are maybe harder to do naturally. Yeah, so those are kind of my beginner tips for zero waste pendulum moving. I would like to hear more if you are interested in this, if this is something you've been doing for a while. What were your first steps? What are some steps that you're getting ready to make? I would love to have that conversation in the comments. Look for more videos in the next month and a half or two on things that I'm doing or have been doing that I'm really excited about. So several of you have been very curious, and so this is my dipping my toes in. Again, not an expert, but I'm doing my best, and that's all you can ask for. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.